We've got a settled team. We've had a fantastic start to the season. This is going to be the year. I can feel it. This is going to be the year. I hope this is the year. Hello and welcome to part 24 of Gunning for Glory. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have an early season top of the table clash-ish against Manchester City before going away against Brighton, both in the Premier League. Since your last review, we've only played a couple of games, but we have scored 10 goals in them. And Alexander Lacazette has scored 6 of those 10 in 2 games, scoring 1 in the first game victory against Stoke where Ozil got a hat-trick, and then scoring 5 times against Watford when we've just beaten them 6-2, with Granit Xhaka weighing in with a very rare goal on a very rare appearance. It's his first goal for over a year. I forgot he existed. He just kind of appeared because Diawara's injured. The other thing that's happened of significance since you were last with me is the Champions League group has been drawn, and we're in a group with Galatasaray, Monaco and Feyenoord. I would expect us to top that group and hopefully set ourselves up for a slightly easier passage through the competition this time round, after getting a little bit stuck against Real Madrid last year, playing them fairly early on in the competition. It would be nice to save the big clubs for later on. This might be the year. Kind of either this season or next season needs to be the year if we're going to win the Champions League before FM18's out. So we do need to pick up the pace a little bit. But first up today, we've got the game against Manchester City. Oh yeah, by the way, transfer window closed. We didn't do any more business. We loaned a couple of youngsters out, but that was about it. Kluivert's gone out on loan to Fiorentina. I guess that's the only significant thing that's happened since you were last with me. Just to go and get him some games. It did wonders for Gabriel Barbosa last season, so let's get Kluivert out for 6 months as well. We'll bring him back at Christmas probably, but just give him the opportunity to go out, play some games, and hopefully come back full of form and fitness the way Barbosa has, and he's now up onto our bench after so many clubs trying to sign him on loan over the course of the summer. So this is our 11 for the Man City game, our first big test of the season. We've got ter Stegen in goal, a back four of Monreal, Christensen, Tar and Bellerin, with Ramsey and Sanchez in midfield, and Iwobi, Ozil and Lamar in behind Lacazette. Lacazette is his 6 goals in 1 start so far this season, because he didn't even start in that first game where he still managed to get a goal. So 6 goals from 1 start in the Premier League. That's a pretty decent return, and hopefully he'll be able to keep that average up today by grabbing another 6 goals against Manchester City. I mean, it's that would be very pleasant if he could manage that. If not, we've got Danny Welbeck, Gabriel Barbosa, Dembele all sat there on the bench, ready to come on and try and grab some goals of their own. But Man City have gone 1-0 up after 7 minutes for Aguero. I mean, that's his 4th for the season. He's not that far behind Lacazette in the top scorer charts, which shows he's also had a pretty decent start to the season. And we do need to be a little bit awake today because, as I say, it's our first big test. Pulisic is a player who we've had an eye on throughout the whole 2 seasons of this save. He's someone who, if his price had ever dropped down to a reasonable level, I was absolutely going to bring him in. In the end, it never really did. See, I do have some self-control, but now he's going to tear us apart today. And Griezmann gets City second after 12 minutes. That start to the season that I was so excited about is all being undone now by a Manchester City team who've decided to come here and run rampant. It seems we have got an awful lot of work to do if we're going to save this game. And that's not really how the script was supposed to go today. We were supposed to stuff City, show that we were going to win the title for a 2nd season in a row and really establish ourselves as a European superpower. As it is, right now we look a little bit like a 1-season wonder because we don't really look to be at the races at the moment. So hopefully we can sort ourselves out in the second half. We're really missing Diawara. Lacazette's in though, and he is in incredible form. It's his 7th goal of the season already in only his 2nd start. And Lamar does really well to set this up. So Lamar tucks it across to Lacazette. Lacazette with a tidy little finish. I don't know what their keeper was doing. Thomas Lamar has been the subject of media reports about a move to Real Madrid, a £60 million move or a £70 million move or something. Either way, it's not enough money. We paid £59 million for him. If anyone wants to take Thomas Lamar off us, they're going to need to break £100 million. And that then could be the route for Asensio to get into our team on a regular basis. But I don't think it's likely to happen. As an insurance policy, we've just offered Lamar a massive new contract, which in turn sparked another media report about him wanting to stay because we were offering him so much money. So it seems like the game's actually paying attention to that kind of thing, which is good. Right, let's bring on Dembele and Asensio. And We don't really have anyone to come on. I want to bring Barbosa on. I just have a feeling Danny Welbeck's probably going to be a little bit miffed that he's not coming on. But Gabriel Barbosa, I'm very conscious of the incredible form he was in for Porto last year. And he needs Premier League opportunities. I suspect he might be a little bit special for us. And Lacazette scored again. What's that? 8 goals in 2.5 games now for us. And we've drawn level with 10 minutes to go. And we've got a front four of Lacazette, Dembele, Asensio and Gabriel Barbosa. If you're a real-life Arsenal fan, do you like the sound of that? That's probably a front four you wouldn't mind having. And that's with Thomas Lemar already been taken off the pitch. Ozil still around and about as well. We're quite flush with attacking options. Asensio of the corner. Tar can't quite get there, but he can cross over to Renato Sanchez. Tar to Lacazette to Ramsey, who hits the post. And it's sort of pushed away after it comes back off the post. But we have another corner with Asensio. Ramsey's there again. Ramsey's desperate to try and establish himself back in the team after barely playing for us last year because of the emergence of Diawara. And he is our captain today, but he misses out to Aguero there. And if City score here, that's dirty. But I don't think there's time for anything else. A draw, we will take it. Based on where things were at half-time, it still leaves us top of the league. Still leaves us unbeaten. I can live with that. What we do need to do now is make sure that we go and beat Brighton and just keep that top of the table place intact going into those first set of Champions League games that are going to be coming up shortly. So much for Aaron Ramsey trying to push Diawara for a place in the team long term. We've just had an international break. Aaron Ramsey's torn his hamstring. Diawara's fit again. Normal services resumed. And that's the only change I've felt the need to make to the team that drew with Manchester City. Iheanacho is fit enough to be back on the bench. He's going to be back in full training in 4 days. Actually, you know what? Stay off the bench, Kelechi. Let's have Barbosa on the bench one more time. I'm desperate to see him score a Premier League goal. I still remember how good he was for my AC Milan team last year, and I just want him to be that good for Arsenal as well. But with so many other players crowding around him, and competition for places, and some idiot constantly signing more and more right wingers, it's fairly tricky to fit him in. We've conceded an early goal again. What is this nonsense? Especially as it's only Brighton. This will never do. It is a free kick. We'll accept the fact it is a set piece. I mean, it's a really, really good free kick as well. But still, I wonder how much it is to live in one of those flats so you can watch the game. I've been to Brighton's ground. I don't believe those flats are really there. How do we get back? Why are we conceding goals? Even when we beat Watford 6-2, we conceded 2 goals. Hence 6-2. But we are conceding a lot of goals this season, which is odd because we've got the same back line. The only difference really is that Diawara has not been in the team, but he's now back in the team. He's not fully fit, but he is back in the team. And we've now conceded 2 goals against Brighton and 2 goals against City and 2 goals against Watford. We are leaking goals all over the place. This isn't what title challenging teams do. After that fantastic fight back against City as well, surely we're not going to go and lose to Brighton. City is still storming it at the top of the league as well. They're winning again today. We've got to keep with them. We can't let anyone break away from us. We saw last season when it was us and United as the breakaway, that a breakaway in the Premier League is pretty hard to close the gap on. And if we let City out of our sight now, after the way they've strengthened, I mean, both them and Chelsea, they've spent about £400 million between them. I can hear football phone-ins now. Oh, resting on his laurels, winning the league, hasn't signed any new players. I know. Right, there you go. Triple substitution. Do I want to bring Welbeck on? Or do I... Yeah, we need to give Danny Welbeck a chance. He normally starts the season really well. Lacazette hasn't turned up today. I've put Barbosa on the bench for no reason because he's not making it into the team. Because, again, we're favouring Dembele, who we've just signed. And we're not even going to... not even had a clear-cut chance. This has been poor. This has been really poor. And we're still not the attacking team. I mean, what is that? What's just happened? We didn't even look in with a chance. And now we've got to go to Galatasaray. Oh, here we go. Faces inquest. Is it to do with not buying any players? Oh, I've lost my golden touch. Thomas Lemar singled out as largely responsible after we just signed him to a £185,000 a week 5-year contract. work to do as usual. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.